Hey everyone, welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have new data that just came in about the fall of 2024 and winter of 2024 and 25 that we're going to share with you on today's video. So make sure to subscribe to the channel down below if you haven't already. We're quickly accelerating closer to 100,000 subscribers. Thanks to all the old subscribers, all the new people who subscribed, and everybody who supports this page. I definitely appreciate all of you. Make sure to like the video by giving it a thumbs up down below. It definitely goes a long way in helping out. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll also get to those after the video. So let's go out here to the equatorial Pacific and take a look at what is happening out here. And notice a lot of the blue blobs starting to show up here just west of South America and toward areas south of Hawaii. That is the emergence of our ENSO, of what we are in neutral conditions right now, but actually the emergence of a weak La Nina that is likely as we move forward into later this fall, but especially into the winter months this season. And you can see generally the positive values are when you're above 0.5 on the positive side, you are in El Nino. Around 0, that is neutral conditions. And then once you get below as negative 0.5, that's typically when you start getting closer to the La Nina category. So right now what we are seeing is a negative 0.5. So we are kind of riding that threshold between ENSO neutral conditions and a very weak La Nina. And looking at the latest update from the Climate Prediction Center, they'll have a new one coming out here in about a week or so updating the probabilities. But the latest data has a 50% chance of that ENSO neutral conditions continuing through the month of September here. So a greater chance of that, about a 49% chance of La Nina turning here sometime this month. That La Nina probability goes up to a 66% chance as we go into October, increasing to 72% by the time we get to November, and then peaking at around 75% or so once we get to December. And you can see we stay in La Nina all the way through the winter months going into 2025. So here's the new data that we're going to show you here today in temperature anomalies for the month of September. The Mississippi Valley going to be pretty cool this September. That could be because we have a trough across the Great Lakes region down here in the middle of the country and eastern part of the country. That will likely keep a lot of our temperatures cooler this month as well. We have a little bit of some warming across Florida and the southeast coast, a little bit of warming across the northeast as well, slightly warmer September for you folks, but especially out west. That's the main area that's going to be warmer than normal is out west. We have a big ridge of high pressure out here in September. That is going to continue over the next couple of weeks, and that will lead to above normal temperatures for the entirety of the month of September. Turning to precipitation, I know a lot of us folks are in drought across the United States. It's good to see some precipitation up here, likely in the Pacific Northwest through the month of September. The second half of the month, we may especially start getting more wet across Seattle, Portland, and even the Boise, Idaho areas. Further to the south near the Gulf Coast, pretty dry as we go through September, especially later in the month. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And that could be just the inactivity from the hurricane season. It's been very inactive to start the month of September. That may continue, and if it does, this will lean below normal and possibly well below normal with our precipitation down near the Gulf Coast. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on that. Moving forward, temperature anomalies for October 2024. Again, we're remaining warmer than normal across the western third of the country. Areas near the East Coast and southeastern Canada will also be above normal with our temperatures. Really more normal areas of temperatures will be around the Mississippi River Valley from portions there of, say, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, on southward there into Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana. A lot of you folks will be near normal with your temperatures throughout the month of October. Precipitation, October promises to be a little bit more active with precipitation this month, with more active storm tracks from the west moving into the eastern U.S., and this could lead to more rainfall, maybe an early snow into the Rockies across some of these areas as we go through the month of October. And finally, the last fall month here is November. And you can see, notice out west, very warm, especially California, Nevada, the Four Corners region, very much above normal with our temperatures, and near normal will be our temperatures across the east as we go into November. And you can see November, a little bit more of an inactive month for precipitation, except for areas in the Sacramento Valley, California. We may start to see more precipitation out there in November, and maybe areas in the Tennessee Valley, parts of the southeast up into the Ohio Valley, we may start to see more precipitation in November as well. Drier in the middle and drier just to the east of that toward the East Coast. So when you average all 3 months up of fall, September, October, and November, here's what you get. You get warmer than normal temperatures likely across the western third of the country and western Canada. And then you see areas in the eastern United States and the middle of the country there as well, seeing near normal temperatures for the 3-month period of fall, September, October, and November. Southeastern Canada is trending above normal during this period as well. Now turning to precipitation anomalies for the fall. So September, October, and November precipitation anomalies. Looks pretty wet out west, especially there near Washington State, Oregon, and Northern California. A little bit above normal as well into parts of the Rockies. The central southern plains up into the upper Midwest look pretty dry this fall, and also down into Florida and along the Gulf Coast, southeast coast look pretty dry. And then we have more well above normal precipitation from the I-95 corridor, stretching back toward the Music City there in Nashville and into the Mid-South. That's where we could have a little bump in the precipitation and maybe above normal precipitation for the month of fall. Let's turn into the winter months now. Temperature anomalies for December of 2024. Here's where we're going to start to turn the corner between neutral and possibly into weak La Nina territory. And you can see up to the north, we're going to see near normal to slightly below normal temperatures favored for southern Canada and the northern tier of the United States. This could be from the upper Midwest, Great Lakes into the Northeast, and then south of there, we're going to see a lot of warmer conditions, especially the desert Southwest, southern plains near the Gulf Coast, and into the southeast, a pretty warm December on tap. Looking at the precipitation, it may start slow early in the winter for precipitation. We may have some early snows across the north with that colder air coming in and some active storm tracks from Canada down to the northern tier of the United States. So the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, Northeast could have some snow events maybe in December, but I think it's mainly going to be wet here in the Tennessee, Ohio, and River Valley, and then again out west into California. Now turning into January, this is 2025 now, and look at this big plume of blue up across southern Canada and the northern US. There is the potential for one of those polar vortex events, or what we call sudden stratospheric warming events. This could happen if the stratosphere warms. All that cold air from the stratosphere comes down into what we live in is the troposphere, and that is something that we'll have to watch as we go into January across the north. That could be a big deal, and some of that cold could even stretch down toward the Red River Valley as well, even though it's showing above normal temperatures during this month. I think that could be even lower than that, especially depending on how strong this happens, or even if we see it at all. So we'll keep an eye on that. Looking at January's precipitation, looks a little bit more active in traditional areas that have La Nina conditions from the northeast, back into the Ohio Valley, Midwest, and Mid-South. And then pretty dry out west as expected for the west coast, including California, and then across the southeast coast here across Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. And then the Rio Grande Valley, also in southern Texas, look pretty dry in January. Finally, in February 2025, we still have that cold lingering across the north. We have a little bit of a thawing period likely later sometime in the winter, whether that's late January, whether it's in February or March. You get the idea. The trends are there that we're going to have a thawing period somewhere late in the winter. This could be in the month of February. Take this with a grain of salt, but you can see that, and there's still going to be an active storm track. So we could have above average precipitation. This doesn't have to be snow. It could be rain, could be ice, could be snow. So we'll have to keep an eye on that across the Great Lakes region as we go through the month of February. And looking at the winter as a whole, averaging all 3 months out with temperatures, December, January, February of 2024 and 2025. It's trending colder across southern Canada and the northern tier of the United States, particularly into the northern Rockies, upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and the Northeast being colder those months into winter, and then a warmer winter across the south, across the desert Southwest, the southern plains, the Southeast, and into the Mid-Atlantic as we go into the winter. Now, with precipitation during those 3 months, December, January, and February of 2024 and 2025, it looks to be a wet winter across the Midwest into the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley region, and parts of the Northeast. Also, you could argue that for the northern Rockies, pretty wet winter overall. And what I mean wet winter is we could have rain, we could have ice, we could have snow, we could have a combination of all three precipitation types. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Not that we won't have precipitation across the south near the Gulf Coast, but we are going to be trending very dry this winter. So if you're in the southeast coast, Florida included, down toward Texas there into California, it's going to be pretty dry and hard pressed to get a lot of those snowstorms further to the south because A, you have warmer temperatures, and B, the storm track is going to be a little bit further to the north, likely pulling up more rain versus snow here in those areas. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as we go through the winter months. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy today's weather forecast with the new data that just came in. We'll keep you updated on the latest weather information right at your fingertips here with videos and live streams on this channel. So subscribe. Make sure you are liking the video by giving it a thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those after the video, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day out there.